Greetings, Earthling. The entity known as Brian wishes you a great day. The entity known as Amber does as well, doesn't they?
What am I even doing with my life?
What are you even doing with your life? You heard it here first, folks. This is the sign of a marriage on the rocks. It's falling apart as we can see right in front of your eyes. Howdy, folks. I'm Brian.
I'm Amber.
Formerly my wife.
Still your wife.
And here's some Reddit. Speaking of, I guess speaking of phones, that's a special one we might get to read today. We might not read that last one. Speaking of red flags, that destroyed my segue completely here. I was like, oh, I got a segue here now, but I didn't.
You did.
Speaking of red flags, am I the jerk for buying my boyfriend birthday gifts? I'm confused and upset. My boyfriend turned 21 last week, and I bought him a new video game he had been wanting and a t-shirt. He started ignoring me and leaving me on red after that. I asked him what was wrong, and he finally said it was unfair that I got him birthday presents because now he's going to have to get me something for my birthday and that I'm being manipulative. I told him that no, you don't have to get me anything for my birthday, but I'd like to spend some time with you on that day, but he said that was a jerk move that I got him gifts. He said that I was trying to make him feel obligated. I told him that it's a thought that counts and that he doesn't have to get me anything, but that if he does, I'd be happy with just a card, but he keeps saying that he's unsure if he can deal with a materialistic girlfriend. Was I in the wrong for getting him gifts? I can't understand anymore.
No, not the jerk here.
What are you doing with your life? Yeah. That one's a interesting one.
Yeah, this just feels like a giant red flag.
Yeah.
The only not terrible, which is still terrible, but it's possible that maybe he's been so had things held over his head so much that he's really traumatized by that.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, he really needs help for
exactly
underlying trauma.
There could be some trauma here. He could have had a manipulative family member or and previous relationship or something like that where someone did hold a gift against them. And I can certainly understand reflexively why you would kind of cringe away from something like that if that was the case. But that needs to be a conversation that he has with her, not now I'm going to be forced to hang out with you on your birthday.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing that he really needs to work through, because a lot of people, that's an important part of their love language is, doing nice things for their partner and, receiving things from their partner. Those are, I just feel like that's the most generous reading I can give him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of less charitable readings I could also give this situation.
Yeah.
And no matter what it is, this just doesn't sound like a healthy situation. So, really, you need to sit him down, have a conversation, find out if there is some kind of underlying reason, and maybe, if he's willing to get some help, then maybe you can keep trying, but, really, probably it's just best to
you might want to jump, have your parachute on hand.
This is not on par with your husband acting strange and pretending like he is an alien.
To a crowd of people.
To a crowd of people. That's just normal behavior in our household. Our next story is, am I the jerk for feeding my boyfriend vegan food instead of meat without him knowing? Okay, my boyfriend is very much anti-vegan, if you want to call it that. He doesn't have anything against vegans, but he thinks he needs meat to sustain himself, and that vegan food is disgusting since you can always taste that it's not real meat. I'm neither vegan nor vegetarian, but I like cooking with meatless alternatives like soy or tofu. It's also a money thing for me. Where I'm from, meatless alternatives are just cheaper. Never made a big deal out of it. Never told him it's meat. Never told him it isn't. He always enjoyed my cooking. He never asked if it's meat. As long as he enjoys it, I don't see any reason to tell him it's not meat. I told him once after we've been eating Beyond Burgers. He loved them. I told him they were actually Beyond Burgers. Immediately he switched to, oh, that's why it was so disgusting. I wouldn't lie to him and tell him that it's meat when it isn't. But if he enjoys it and doesn't ask, I don't tell him. But recently we were at a small gathering with one of my friends who's vegan. We talked about meatless alternatives and cooking vegan in general. My boyfriend did the typical eye-rolling and said vegan food is disgusting. Somehow that really rubbed me the wrong way. He's always enjoyed my cooking. So when we both were alone back in the car, I told him that the stew we had for lunch was in fact vegan. So were 90% of the dishes I've ever cooked for him. He was shocked for a second and then got really mad. He thinks I'm wrong for forcing him to eat vegan. I told him he's free to cook for himself in his own apartment if he thinks I'm forcing him to eat my food. We don't live together and don't go grocery shopping together either. He's been mad at me for the past few days. Honestly, I don't think I'm wrong here. I didn't lie to him. I just offered him meals I cook for myself. He never asked if it's meat because he couldn't taste the difference anyways. So, am I the jerk?
I'm inclined to say no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly inclined to say no as well.
I think maybe ever very so slightly, because there was a small bit of deception here. If she knew that he was like anti-vegan food and feeding him vegan food anyways, then I don't know. Like there is that small deception here. But I think this guy is so far up his own things that we can't say on YouTube that he just doesn't even know good food when it hits him in the face.
Well, that's the thing, is like, also it doesn't seem like he just doesn't like vegan food supposedly because it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's not like he has a moral objection to it.
Yeah, exactly. There is no moral objection here. He's not like, oh, I'm morally opposed to eating tofu. Soybeans are a sacred fruit in my religion.
Right. So, and it sounds like OP just made food in her own home and offered it to him, and he didn't ask whether it was meat or not. So, like, that's kind of where, like, it wasn't like she was, like, intentionally trying to deceive him. She was just preparing food, offering it to him.
Yeah.
So, again, like, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of, you could have been more upfront, but he also wasn't gonna... He's upset now because he has this identity where vegan food is terrible, and he doesn't like what this says if he can't even tell the difference between meat and vegan food.
Well, the thing is, like, there are very much times when you can't tell the difference between them. I mean, we're not vegans. Amber's a vegetarian, but and as a result, I just tend to cook one meal for both of us and not cook with meat. And I don't really miss meat, and it's not like I have anything against eating meat, but the meat alternatives really do taste very, very close nowadays, especially something like, the hot dogs. Hot dogs taste basically identical. Bacon tastes basically identical. There's a lot of meat substitutes that taste very close. Like, I had the Beyond Burgers just recently for the first time, and they are remarkably close to an actual burger, and I don't mind, I don't think it's a bad thing. If you can find a meat substitute, then why not? If it's cheaper, especially in her situation, then go with the meat substitute. Like, financially, it makes sense, and they're going to provide you with the same, levels of protein and whatnot as, meat meals generally.
Yeah.
Now, he does have this idea that vegan food is gross. I've had bad vegan food where they just didn't know how to use like spices or seasoning or anything like that. And any dish you make, even meat dishes, if you don't season it well, if you don't put, actual like seasoning or spices into it, then it's not going to be a very good meal anyway. So I think it depends on the cook.
Right. Well, and what I think is most bothersome to me about this guy is that he goes out of his way in front of vegans to bash their food. Because, like, when we were at the cookout where we didn't like the food, we weren't going around bashing it.
Oh, no.
So, like, we privately together were like, that really wasn't good afterward. But, like, we weren't going up to the vegans and being like, your food is so terrible. You guys need to learn how to cook. Yeah.
No, yeah, there's a difference, too. Like, you don't turn up your nose at free food and, complain about it to them, and whatnot. And I mean, I was very grateful. I'm not saying that I wasn't, like, ungrateful for the food here, so don't get me wrong. I just didn't think it was necessarily the tastiest food I've ever had. And I mean, maybe it's just that I learned how to cook well, and so it just tends to be if someone doesn't season their food or dress it up in any way, shape, or form,
Brian is a very good cook. He spoils me.
Amber doesn't even like going to restaurants. She's like, what's the point in going to a restaurant?
Yeah, well, you've ruined pretty much every restaurant except fast food. I still eat fast food, but or Chinese food because we don't make that.
No, we don't make a whole lot of like Asian cuisine. We do have some dishes. So, well, let's move on to the next story. Yes, he's a jerk.
Yes, but OP's not so much a jerk.
Yeah. All right, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Getting a Tattoo with My Sisters and Inheriting Our Grandma's Money? My grandma is super against tattoos. She says they don't look good on women. My brothers have 2 tattoos, though, and that's fine with her. When she found out my oldest sister, there are 4 of us, had a tattoo, we still don't know who snitched. She took my sister out of the will. My other sisters and I made plans for the 3 of us to get tattoos in solidarity with our sister. I said I was going to do it, but then I realized how dumb that was and decided not to do it. They went through with it though, and they were mad at me when they found out I didn't do it. My grandma took them off the will when she died. My 2 brothers and I inherited all of her money and her estates. My brothers and I gave my sisters a little bit of it, but they want us to split it equally. My sisters have been pressuring me, especially because I had said I was going to do the tattoo plan with them and then didn't do it. Am I the jerk for not getting a tattoo with them? Also, will I be the jerk if I don't split the inheritance equally with them? I already gave them some, but they want more.
So I'm going to say that OP is the jerk for the inheritance bit. Mm-hmm. It's fine if you decide you don't want a tattoo, although she should have been upfront with her sisters before they all went and got tattoos and was like, hey, maybe we should think a little bit about this.
Yeah.
So what I and it almost feels like the sort of thing you might do to like edge out your family members, especially now that she doesn't want to share. Like, oh yeah, I'll totally get a tattoo with you.
Well, this doesn't paint her in a good light, is really what this boils down to. If you agree to do something where it's going to potentially cost you inheritance, and then you don't go through with it, and the whole situation kind of reeks of, I did this on purpose so that I could get more inheritance.
Yeah.
And if that's not the case, then OP really needs to figure out a way to convince, her brothers to pool together the inheritance and split it equitably. And, I can certainly understand why you wouldn't want to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
I really do, because I think, tattoos are a permanent decision. They're very, very difficult to remove.
It's a personal choice.
And it's a personal choice. And if you didn't want to do it in solidarity, like what Amber said, I think that they should have approached their sisters and said, hey, I don't really want to do this. I like the idea of the solidarity, but I'm just not interested in it.
Yeah, and maybe they could have formulated a different plan and be like, oh, well, instead of getting tattoos, we'll just pool our resources, and when grandma dies, we'll be able to split the money up more easily. Because now, it's down to the 3 stakeholders instead of 5. It would be a little easier for everyone to give away 1/5 of a share rather than like half their share.
Yeah.
Even if it works out the same amount of money.
Exactly. So, yeah. And I mean, again, like, nobody knows who snitched, but this doesn't necessarily put you in the best possible light for that either.
It definitely seems like at least one of them is out for money. Like, whether it's OP or the brothers who snitched, like, someone was out for the money.
Yeah. And then you kind of have to expect that if somebody is out for the money, it's going to make it really difficult to get that money from them. So it seemed like a strategic move more than anything.
Yeah. But I certainly think OP and the grandma is a huge jerk here for disinheriting her granddaughters for something she wouldn't disinherit her grandsons for.
Yeah.
That is a huge jerk move. The only fair thing would be for them all to go in and split. But I think it definitely, if OP wants to make things right, she needs to give her sisters a more fair share.
Yeah.
And we get 4 stories today.
4 stories for the price of 0.
Our last story is, am I the jerk for insisting I get the phone back despite policy? My kids attend a year-round school and started back up for the new term 2 weeks ago. My eldest, 16-year-old female, ended up getting her phone confiscated for using it during class to watch TikTok. We had discussed this before she even got the phone, then she had some issues last year. As a last resort, I told her that if that happened again, the phone would become mine and she'd get an old flip phone that was my husband's with no internet until she could prove trust. The school policies had changed this term from a phone would be confiscated until a parent could come get it to a phone would be kept for 2 weeks as a first offense, 3 for a second, and so on and so forth. I wasn't okay with this as I don't trust the school not to lose it. I know they've lost or broken other students' phones, plus I don't want them having access to my daughter's private info. I went to the school and requested it back, saying I wouldn't give it to my daughter, but I paid for it. Secretary gave me the spiel and I didn't blame her, but I asked to speak with the vice principal. He comes out and repeats the same. I said, okay, but I'm the parent, I paid for it, and I never signed anything giving you permission to hold it. They were refusing, so I said I'd sit in the office until I was given it back. I did so and waited for close to 2 hours. Finally, the principal came out and said I needed to leave. I said if I left, I'd be back with a police escort. At that point, the phone was returned to me. My husband says I Karen'd my way out of it. To me, it's not their property to take. Am I the jerk?
So Reddit's rated this one as not the jerk.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I generally agree with that too. I mean, certainly the school needs to have some kind of policy, but I think that this is probably the wrong way of going about it because clearly, like, this is theft with extra steps.
Yeah, well, you can't just, like, take someone's personal property. Like, if it's school property, like a laptop, the school can confiscate it.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're overstepping when they're taking personal property. Like,
yeah.
And you can take it during school hours, but, like, I think even, like, or make the parents pick it up or something like that. Those are all reasonable things, but saying, you can't have access to this, we're going to hold on to this.
Yeah. Here's the thing, it's like the school, they can make suspension policies.
Yeah.
You know, if they say, if we catch you with the phone, we can suspend you for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I think taking away the property for 2 weeks is completely different here.
Right, there's all kinds of things that the school has the ability to do, but to confiscate people's personal property is not one of those things.
Yeah, or detention for 2 weeks.
Yeah, like they have all kinds of options.
Yeah.
And I don't think, like, this isn't, like, entitled behavior on the mom's part. I don't feel like she's not belittling customer service representatives.
Yeah, she didn't handle this in, like, a belligerent way. She just said, please give me back the phone. I'll sit here until, you give it to me. And if you kick me out, then I'm going to go get the police because you're stealing my property.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that what OP did, it makes sense. It was the only way to get the phone back, and so...
What do you folks think? Do you think that this was inappropriate, or do you think that do you think she Karen'd her way out of it, or do you think she did the right thing? Yeah. So anyhow, take care and good luck, OP. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Happy Friday, Junior.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks so much to Amber for joining me.
Thank you for having me, even if you were a weird alien for part of it.
For like the first 30 seconds.
I know, I'm just teasing you.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!